First of all, hugs and stitches to you all. This is long overdue. I so apologize. Last time we were about to do this webinar, I was a little under the weather, but I was so excited and pumped up. I was in here and ready to go, and then no one could hear me. I actually went about 5 minutes before we realized. I'm feeling fine tonight. Now, while this is called Tips and Tricks, we have just some weeks ago released the newest update to Total Control. So I thought I'm going to spend a little time here. Just 1 second. My screen is doing something here. I'm going to just take you through the new update and show you some of the features, because there's some different ways you can approach it. Very, very excited about this latest update in the software. In fact, you got a lot of new features that came in the last update of the software. Just 1 second. Put the paperwork down below. We've got the text on path. I'm going to show you that. The TrueType text tool. Very excited about that. That was something DJ and I have been working on a long time. There's certainly going to be some refinements, but it is pretty intense, folks. We've applied now the variegated threads to the colors, to the color sequencing, or to the color bar. I'll show you, to the color chart. We've created all the variegated thread charts. I'm going to show you the satin single line input method that has to do with input satin, the input satin path, the split line feature. I do not know why my computer is doing this, but if it pops up, I'll just click it off. The split line feature, we now have a new enhanced slice tool. We've got some new formats and such that are in there, the enhanced C2S format. We've enhanced the PLT format, the DXF formats. Those are our long arm quilting formats. And we've also totally enhanced the create an outline tool. And again, I'm very excited about this. Now, first of all, let me start off by saying all the software has been updated. And I'm bringing that up because, you know what? Many of you have friends that have Embroidery Suite. The new update the new update in Suite, we were finally able to go in and redo, so to speak, the palette. If you were to open Suite, if you go to a friend's house and you see that as they open Suite, it looks very, very similar now to Total Control. In fact, I'll open it. In the update that we did for Suite, we were able to finally enlarge all of the icons. And certainly it was updated. So it's got a new look. What I'm bringing this up for is I don't want you to think that those folks were updated to Total Control. There are almost 30 features that still separate these two pieces of software. Just a second, I'm going to click on that. That should get rid of that. Still almost 30 features that separate the software. So while it looks like it is not Total Control, and I just thought I'd make that clear. I also wanted to take just 1 second. We released a couple of months ago our new Floriani MDQ software, the My Decorative Quilter. Look, I'd just like to take a second and thank you all who've purchased the software. I am so very proud. We are so very proud of this product line, and we're so very excited how well it's been received. We're doing some educator training in Knoxville this week. We've got all the educators in here, and I'll tell you, there is some really, really exciting stuff going on here. New workbooks coming out for MDQ and such that'll be out in the very near future. I'm just blown away by the reception to it. I want to thank so many of you who own Total Control, have stepped into the MDQ software. It means an awful lot to me personally and to our company. It is, and if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, it is amazing. It is amazing new software. If for some reason you had some kind of a challenge with your update, it should all be worked out from when we were going to do this weeks ago. If you had any kind of a challenge with your update into the new updates of Total Control, and certainly if you go under the My Floriani Today page, anytime you want to see what's included in the new update, just click on What's New in Floriani. That'll open up this next page, and it will tell you everything that you're certainly getting in the new software. If for some reason you had some kind of an issue, please don't call R&K. Go ahead and fill out a help ticket, and they'll be able to talk you through it. Although I think all those challenges, I forgot to check that out before we got started, but that was an issue when we first released it. I do not believe it is an issue at this point in time. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. One of the things that I just fell in love with is the text on the path. Certainly, we've given you over time the ability to work from the center, from the left, from the right, but now look at what you can do, and there's a couple of ways that you can do it. Just a second, I'm in Embroidery Suite. See, they do look similar. I've got Total Control back open. The two ways that you can do it is you can create your own path in several different manners. The first way is that you can click the text tool, click anywhere in the box, okay? I can then type the words. Let's just put in there what DJ had put in there. Follow me around. I type it. I'm going to go ahead and pick my size. We'll just give it a size of 10. But right now, right here where you see normal, you will see, excuse me. Oops, I clicked the wrong one. I can click path, okay? When I click path, excuse me, and again, I'm just getting used to this still. Click apply. Bring up your lettering, and then I'm going to tell it, let's go ahead and put it on a path. So we'll pick path, and we'll click apply, and you'll see that I have a path. Now, at this point, because you're actually in the second level or higher level of editing, I can actually come in and just do a normal, excuse me, I've got to break up the text, correct? I'm so sorry, folks. I just did my first flub up. You know what? I'm never concerned about if I make a little bit of a flub up here. Right click, and I want to edit the baseline. So again, I generated the text, I clicked on path. At this point in time, go to the line, okay? So let's get to our higher level, our second level of editing in the software. Go to the line, right click, and say edit the baseline. At this point in time, I have a series of blue squares that I can now come in. You'll see when I get to the center, I have a little bit, I have my Bezier curves. I right click and it will follow that path, okay? I think that's amazing. Now that's kind of the traditional method of how it was originally developed, but check this out, because this is another level of how we can go ahead and do this. So I'm going to close this. We'll open up a new page. Otherwise, I'm going to have too many pages open up. The first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to come into our artwork tool. I'm going to grab the pen, and I'm going to simply create my own line. And I can make it everything. I don't have to be a perfect art. I can do pretty much anything that I want. Now I'm going to click the text tool. Come in and just say, follow me around again. Let me go ahead and change the sizing down. Click apply. Once it's applied again, you're in your second level of editing, but I'm going to go ahead and just do a normal select on the lettering. Then I'm going to go ahead and select the artwork line that I created. Excuse me, I want to select them both. I then right click and I simply hit text on the path. That darn lettering will actually follow that path that I put on there. I can also do my select, and I can tell it to center align it, and it will center align to that shape. That's amazing. We truly have worked this out for a long time. You can make all these shapes. Now, you have some wonderful controls with your spacing still to put it in there. You can come in there, and when you break it apart, you can come in and you can rotate letters so you can kern them a little better. It's an amazing feature in the software. And with the first release, just realize this is just going to continue to just get more advanced and more advanced. We've been working on this for a long time. Now, another thing we've been working on for a long time, go ahead and close this, is True Type Text, but it's a True Type Text tool that you work right from the keyboard. So let's go ahead and click text. Just click anywhere in the box, okay? At this point in time, I can just come in and click on True Type Text. Let's make it just a little smaller. Now check this out. At this point in time, just come in here and to where it says normal and just pick true type. At this point in time, excuse me, I've got to move this if you don't see it. I've got something on my screen there. I can pick, this is, and now I'm in true type text. It's like I'm in Microsoft Word. I'm in all the text within my software. So I can pick any text and I can simply apply it. There's my true type text. Ooh, I spelled true real well, didn't I? Doesn't matter. Okay, at this point in time though, just do a normal select, right click, and just say convert to my satin stitch. Excuse me. It'll convert it. Change it to red, and there's your true type text. True type text right from the keyboard. I think that's just amazing. Just absolutely amazing. When I'm doing it with the design, I'm doing my texting first. I'm throwing in the design after that. It really has been a wonderful upgrade. Now, I'm going to come in and I'm going to show you something else that we've done. Well, I can even use this same lettering, because just with a select now, come in and select. I can select the individual letters. I can select the whole thing. In fact, let me do this. Select it all. Come down to your color bar down here. Left click. Up it comes, and we now have all of the variegated thread support. So we'll come down here. Here's our variegated threads right down here. You can select one, click OK. They're the variegateds, but now let me go ahead and do this. I'll zoom in. Just going to change this to a different color. Background. Click OK. And you'll see as I zoom in, I could have picked the one that's a little clearer. We'll make it look 3D. And there's your variegated. You'll also see now that the variegated is down on the true type text, or down here on your color bar. I think that's really cool. That was a really nice update that we added. Was adding the variegated thread support to that. Now, this next one is a change in the digitizing side of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and generate just a keyboard letter L. We'll just come in and do an L. Bringing it up on the screen. And what this has to do, or excuse me, that's not what I meant to do. What I want to actually do is I want to go ahead and click the text tool. But I'm going to go ahead and again pick true type text, because I can use this also for artwork that I want to digitize from per se. And we'll just tell it Arial. Let's go ahead and put in my letter L. I can put that letter L in. I've got a piece of artwork. Let me go ahead and change my screen color back to the white. Click OK, and let's zoom in. Now, this feature was something that we had quite a bit of requests for, but I want to show you how it used to work, where you make the change in order to do it, and then how you functionally put it in there. This has to do with the input satin path. Now I have it set to normal, and the normal method of doing the input satin path is once selected, I'm going to left click on the top left of the letter L. I'm going to left click on the bottom left of the letter L. I'm going to left click on the bottom right of the letter L. Now to transfer, to get to the other side, I now right click. Whoops, excuse me, it glitched on me. Just 1 second. I'll go ahead and do it again. Let me pick another color. I'm still in my input satin path. Left click. I've got a problem with my mouse. This happened to me earlier. Left click, left click, left click, right click. Now, why did that do that? Just 1 second. Oh, I know why I did it. Because I stayed on single line. Sorry. This is the normal default that we had with it. Let's go ahead and undo that. You know what? It's going to change it on me though. So bring up a new page. 2 flub ups in one night. Look at me. Unbelievable, Floriani. That's what being off the road for a little bit will do to you. Just 1 second. But folks, as I've told you all, and all of you know me, is I never mind when we have an issue. The wonderful thing about the software, it always kind of shows itself. There's always ways around it. Let me just go under Tools and General Options again. We're going to come back to this box in just a second. Okay, I'm set up normal, so I have selected my input satin path. Let me just go ahead and change the color again. Left click top left, left click bottom left, left click bottom right, or right click to get over to the other side, and then we reverse it, of course. Left click, top bottom right, left click internal part, left click, and then as we right click, it generates the stitches, okay? And as always does a real fine job. And in fact, those of you who know, I really enjoy our input satin path. The logic change that we made, we call fractional spacing. Those of you who've seen me teach know that I teach something called angle in and angle out. It's so we don't stress the internal corners. Once we made that change in input satin path, see, that's why I originally developed the classic satin, was because in the classic satin you were the angle of the stitch. And old-time digitizers like myself, we loved it. It's called point counterpoint. We loved that. But since this logic was changed, I really do enjoy the input satin path. Now, the change that took place, and I very, very much like this. I'll go ahead and get out of what I did. Go under Tools and General Options. Now, what I want to bring up at this point is that you see this environment has changed, okay? The look has changed. You now have icons over here. So you have your environment where you set your metric, your default styles, your default thread chart. Certainly you have the ability to pick from any default thread chart within the software. It'll hold it. It'll auto match the thread colors on loading. You now have your machine environment, activating your trims, remove your short stitches and such. You have your grid settings. You set your grid right here. But this is where the change for input satin path took place. If you click on digitizing here, you'll see down under the satin mode, and I'm still in the standard mode, I can now click use single line and click OK. When I digitize now with the input satin path, I'm going to left click top left. I'm going to left click bottom left. I'm going to left click bottom right. No more right clicks. Come up to the top internal right on the far right side. Another left click. Another left click. Another left click. But now you do have to complete the structure. So you left click and then you right click. But now the way that it was built is you're now going to input your angle lines. So it's similar to what you can do with the classic satin. So I can do my angle in and angle out. But when this was first developed, and DJ and I looked at it, because I'll come right here, put in my angle line, put in my angle line, put in my last angle line, right click, and it stitches. Does a fine job. But we took it a step further because my opinion is because of the fractional spacing that influences the turning within the input satin path. And I'm going to go ahead and still use that single line input. So I'm going to left click. I'm going to left click. I'm going to left click bottom right. I'm going to left click that top bottom right inside. Left click. Left click. Left click. Now I right click a second time without, the first time I right click it's going to ask for the angles. Right click again and you're basically jumping back to the fractional spacing. Does beautiful turns in, does beautiful turns out. I like that. Look, perfecting angle lines, especially in your letter S's and in certain letters that you're going to do, can take a long time. If you're skilled at angling, if you want to practice it, it's there for you. Just remember, and really the biggest point to that is just, it's a double click. That's all it really is. It's just a double click, okay? Now, this is something that I just started practicing tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and show you this, and it's what we call the split line. I'm going to go ahead and bring up just some true type text again. I'm going to make a letter T, just a cap letter T, come in and tell it that I'm going to use a true type. We can just use the Arial. That's fine. Bring it up on the screen. I'll zoom in. At this point in time, let me just grab the select. I can come in and I can right click and I can convert it to my satin stitch. Now, if I come in and just do a normal select, let me just get the normal select, okay? And then you come down to the third icon called shape. I'm going to go ahead and remove the stitches, so I hide the stitches for you right now. Okay, you see this blue line right here, folks? Now, if I bring the stitches up, we made a major advancement to true type text. So true type text really works very, very well. But what you'll see with some letter styles when you're doing the true type text, I'm going to grab this right here and I'm going to move this split line and just put it right up there, and then right click to regenerate it, put the stitches back on. Oops, excuse me. Update the path. You see how that makes that turn there? You'll see that, okay? You will see that in some of the true type text. That's why this feature was developed, because if you ever see that within your true type text, again, do a normal select, okay? Go down to the third icon on the left, again called shape. When you bring it up, and I'll evaporate the stitches, you now see the blue line. Your angle lines, these lines are all yellow, but you've got the blue. If you ever see that, just grab that angle line, and I can move it right down to there. Right click as I generate the stitches. It corrects it. It corrects it. Look, true type fonts, because of the way the structures and such, the way that it perceives lines and movements, it doesn't always see where those split lines should be. You now have total control of those split lines. I really think that is an absolutely magnificent. Oh yes, and that option absolutely is only available in the FTCP. Okay. Which is what you have. So it's amazing. Having that in there is just an amazing feature. I'm sorry, DJ had just handed me a little note. Now, this next one, it's the enhanced slice tool. While slicing can be utilized for, and eventually for slicing structures, meaning that I can come in, and currently it works very well like with a fill stitch. I can come in and do a fill stitch. I can select it. I can come into my slice tool and I can slice. I can right click, it'll slice. Oops, excuse me. I have to hold it to slice it. Right click, and I can select it again. I can right click and I can break it apart. And then as I come in, you'll see I can now select either side. So it is intended to split. Fortunately, it doesn't work with all the stitch types. So like splitting a front, currently we're still a ways away on this. But here's a really nice thing. Look, lots of artwork that I bring in. An example, this apple, okay? Now, to generate this, like using the magic wand or the convert to, this is a piece of vector art, so I use the convert to on it, is no real issue. But in reality, I don't want that to be a one-color design. I want that to be a three-color design. So, what you'll actually do now is you'll do a select the entire structure, grab your slice tool. I'm going to come right to here, and I'm going to put a slice right there. You hold and drag and release. I'm then going to come to this side. Hold, drag, and release. I'm going to come right here. Hold, drag, and release. Right click to finish the structure. Select it now. Excuse me, I have to break it apart. And now you see what I have? I now have 3 individual segments. That is so cool, because I can now come into here, I can right click, I can grab my color, let's say brown on this one. Just grab this brown over here. I can now right click and I can just say convert it to whatever, complex fill satin. It's done. I can grab this, change my color over to green. Oops, excuse me. You got to right click to change your color, change it to that. I can right click and I can say convert that to, let's say, my satin stitch. I can then grab, oops, I glitched on that. Let's do that again. Grab it, right click's too wide, so I probably should have just come in and done fill. I didn't even think about the sizing I put on this. Grab this, just do a simple right click, convert to my complex fill. That's cool, okay? That is, I think, just an amazing feature. Look, I want to talk about a few things, and then we'll get back to a little bit more. I'll even be able to take a few questions tonight. Um, Number one, the C2S format has been enhanced. It will read all of your old C2S formats, so you're not losing anything. But the format actually changed in two ways. One was to support the variegated thread that we now support. We had to add the feature, so it altered the C2S format. The other was absolutely in the pure ability to sew a well-designed true type font. Without this core change to the C2S format, we would have not been able to do justice to true type fonts. You're not even going to notice it. When you did your update, it brought that in there, and it just part of it. You won't notice it, but I thought I'd go ahead and mention that indeed you have it. We also had with the long arm quilters a few issues with the PLT DXF format. Every so often, look, you get some pesky bugs in your software programs. We have to get it out there. As much as we test, it had to do with the age of software and such of the machines. We've squashed a few of these in the latest update. You'll find incredibly better performance now when saving to a .plt and a .dxf feature on it. You know what, Kath, let's go ahead and open it up to a couple questions, and I'm going to show them the new outline features that we have, but I'll answer any questions that we have at this point. I do have some extra time tonight. Then I'll show them a few real tips and tricks. Yeah, and also again, and I'll refer to this one more time because it's been upgraded. It'd be worthy to spend just a minute here. Again, in the What's New and Floriani Total Control, you're going to get what the latest update, what it had in it, and then down below, basically everything we were just talking about is in there. But you also now have, and DJ, I've got to give DJ credit. I say this at every event that I do also. I get an awful lot of credit for my Floriani software and a lot of the things that it does. But again, I am surrounded by the most incredible staff. DJ Anderson is absolutely amazing. DJ is responsible for a lot of these preview videos. Click on the new preview videos. And it's going to tell you, you click on any one of these. I'll go ahead and do the single line output down here. You get a magnificent video. DJ's practicing talking like me, so pretty soon he's going to be going, "Hi, this is DJ Anderson." Just click on go. You'll hear DJ's wonderful voice.
Another new feature that we have brought.
I know you can't hear that. It's kind of low, folks. But that's amazing. Every time a new update now comes out with the software, you've got these amazing videos. I know I've talked about this in the past too, but under the same My Floriani Today area, you have your Learning and Resource Center. Years. He has worked for well over a year in putting together this resource center. I'll click on it. It is absolutely amazing, folks. Absolutely just amazing what you can learn in this resource center. DJ has, again, he spent over a year putting this together for all of you. As those of you who know us, we are all about getting you educated. In fact, I'm going to show you one more little enhanced feature. Then I'm going to get into some tips and tricks that I share with my classes, but I don't get a chance to share with all of you. We'll go ahead and do that in a minute. But Kath, do you have any other questions before I move on with that? Yeah, absolutely. Remove overlap tool is really one of my favorites. When you've got a designer, and specifically when I'm merging a lot of designs, or even better yet, I sometimes look at designs. Go ahead and just pick this basketball. This is just like stock data. I'm just putting two designs on top of each other. Now, this works incredibly well with when you're merging designs, but I also see a lot of designs digitized today, where digitizers have this knack kind of stacking like fills on top of fills. Look, and there's a valid point here, because while saved is so, the most amazing feature within the software, in my opinion, will alter your densities when a digitizer, even with a light density, when digitizers put fills on top of fills on top of fills, you're going to end up with bulletproof embroidery. Okay? If you ever see that in an existing design, if you ever merge designs within the software and you've stacked fills on top of fills, I'm going to select the one on top. Once it's selected on top, I just do a very simple right click, and right here you're going to see remove overlaps. Click on remove overlaps, and boom, it takes the stitches out from the design below it. That's incredible. That's a feature that I use when working with when working with a lot of designs that are presented to me. I see a lot of layering on top. I'm not going to bring up what design it was per se, but I edited a design for a consumer client at one of my recent events. I pulled 11,000 stitches out of one area, a design where the digitizer had put 3 fills on top of each other. I was able to remove 11,000 stitches out of that design. Take advantage of this, folks. We call it stitch consciousness, but it's also very much so a softening technique. It softens your embroidery like nothing else you've ever seen. It is an amazing feature within the software. It works, I'm not going to say totally foolproof. Every time I say that, and inevitably you're going to find something that it might have it might have an error on. I've had it happen. Some designs are so complex when they're like layering on top of layering. But always realize too, one of the great things about the software is that without even removing those, and let's put those fills back in there. Let's just undo. Okay, so now I've got the fill stitches back in there. Excuse me, one more undo. Okay, I've got the fills on top of fills again. All right, if I move it out, I've got all my fills. But realize that one of the neatest things about the software, okay, is that I'm going to come in and actually break this apart. Okay, it's already broken apart. Or excuse me. I have to ungroup it, ungroup that, and grab the second one. I'm going to ungroup that. Ungrouping, because when I selected it was grabbing everything all at once. Now I can actually come in and grab just the orange on that, okay? So like I could grab that orange fill of that one. And once that's grabbed, I can just do a right click and a delete. Pull that all out there. But again, one of the amazing things with Floriani Software for me has always been that I can integrate digitizing into a traditional design, a stock embroidery design. So I can grab my fill at this point in time. I'll just grab that bright orange, and I'm just going to do this very quickly. But I could come in here now. I could digitize a whole other fill. Do you fully understand what it is that's taking place here? I'm integrating in an editing mode, digitizing, auto-digitizing, or traditional type digitizing, and then I can just come in here and I can remove all those stitches underneath. So if you ever have an issue, realize with the software, there's always a way around it. It has to do with the complexity of a design, the order in which a digitizer did that. If you ever have a challenge with a remove overlap, you have options. You have options to almost every scenario that you're going to come up with on the software. I think that's amazing. I think that is an amazing aspect on it. Very few softwares will allow you to integrate digitizing with traditional stock embroidery data. I use that a lot. I fix a lot of designs for people when I'm at events and such. I can't tell you how many times I'll get frustrated. Sometimes it's hard to find even the order. They got 57 color changes in it. I just select what it is I want to move or remove. I delete it. I go in and pick the stitch type that I want to put it. I just digitize. I integrate it into the stock design and put it in the order where I want it to run. I think that's amazing. I truly think that's amazing. Kath, I'm going to go ahead and get back to this and show them one other feature that was a wonderful update, and it has to do with the create the outline. Then I'm gonna really kind of end up tonight. I want to teach you folks a little bit about an elevated educational aspect that I know many of you are aware of, because those of you who've seen me, but as many people as I've seen around the country, I haven't seen everyone. So I really hope it'll have an impact on you. But number one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring up just my little jumping tiger. Now, you all know that, or if you don't know that, the create outline feature worked extremely well. You can use it for echo type stitching. You can do all kinds of things with it, but it's been totally enhanced. And what I mean by that is by the shapes that it'll follow. And I've used this design many times. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up again. It's just my little jumping tiger design. I'm going to bring that up, and I'm going to do a select and a control A. I select the entire design. I right click it this time, and I'm going to hit create an outline. Okay? Where's my create an outline? Hold on. Control A. Right click. I did it right. Just 1 second. Why is it not showing my create an outline? Hold on. How did I do that again? Excuse me, folks. I jumped back over to Embroidery Suite. It just did that on my screen. I swear, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I'm going to close down the suite. This never happened to me before, where it's jumped over to the other software like that. So I'm going to open up the Jumping Tiger 3, okay? Click open, there it is. I do a select and a control A. At this point, I'm going to hit create outline. Now, we've added some new features in here, okay? You have your distance. This is the distance that the outline you're about to create will be offset of the border from the selected object. But you now have an inside feature. With this box, the outline can actually be placed to the inside of the border of the amount placed in the distance box. So I could come in there and put like 0.1. At that point in time, is going to be the outline will start, rather than, let's say, 2 or 1 millimeter to the outside. I can actually go to the inside of that line now and create an outline. It'll be very helpful for you. Your repeats, of course, they haven't really changed. Create the outlines. You've got the number of repeats. Joining the repeats will connect each repeat, making it all one object instead of multiples. I'll get back to that in a minute. You can unite the outlines now. It doesn't really affect, it will not affect your outline at this time, but it's a feature that's going to advance. What I'm saying there is it's still got a little work to do. And then you can also remove the selection. So if I wanted to create just like a running stitch outline of that shape, but wanted the design gone, I could just hit remove selection. It'll generate it without it. Anyway, I'm going to put the distance 2 millimeters apart, and let's do 10 repeats. I want to create an echo type of effect, okay? Just click on it. Oops, I did that wrong. Excuse me. Create the outline. I didn't put in 10. Put in 10. Click OK. It'll put 10 lines in there. No, let's start over from the beginning. I don't know if it's my computer or me tonight. 2 millimeters. We'll put in 10. Click OK. I know what it is. Oh, thank you, DJ. Folks, it's me, because you know what I did? I was hitting the O instead of the 0. That's a good one, huh? Right click, create my outline. Come in here. Let's try 10 instead of the O. We have that now. Very good, Walter. Now, the other thing is that it's currently white. I'm going to change that to black. Now, one of the things that you have here, because realize if we look at over here, excuse me, if we look at it over here, let me scroll up to the top and just close this down. You'll see this as we come down to the bottom. It's artwork, okay? Let me zoom in a little bit. It's artwork. So as I come in and we go to the bottom, it's not stitching yet. I have to click it and convert it into stitches. But one of the neat things that you can do here is that you can right click and you can actually break this apart. When I break it apart, I now have the ability to grab individual lines. Example, I could grab that front one now and I can say, you know what, convert that to a cross stitch. I can put cross stitch along those lines, okay, and fill that whole area. I can add motifs to that. You have individual selections of each line when you break it apart, but right now basically what I want to do is just we'll undo my break apart, put that back in there, make it black. I right click, I change it into black. I can just do a right click and convert to a running stitch, okay? And boom, now I have a design. Now, what the update feature really did with this that's so nice is, if you'd ever seen me do this design before, as we got into these internal areas through here, it wasn't following the shape quite correctly. It was an amazing refinement and taking this into really creating beautiful shapes now. So it comes in and really follows the outline of that tiger an amazing amount. It was, if you use this feature, you'll notice it was an amazing update. It was really an amazing update to it, and I'm very, very proud of that. Now, we have about 10 minutes left. I'd like to take you into a little tip and a trick, and this has to do with the educational side, or another way that we educate. Look, in my opinion, I've always thought that we've done, I know, we've done everything we can do to educate you. You get amazing videos within the software, an amazing workbook that DJ has generated. We travel the country doing events where we teach the classes. We have our in-house projects of the month that are coming into the stores, those that carry it. But those of you who have purchased the software long ago, and those of you who might have just purchased it, know that every month we give you 5 new stock embroidery designs, okay? And now, one of the really great things that we push for, DJ and I push for, is that whenever you buy the software, you don't just start to download those 5 designs from when you bought it. We started this program, it's going on almost 4 years. In October, it'll be 4 years. Can you believe that? 4 years we've been given those designs. Every month you get 5 new designs. So you got 4 years of creating or downloading those designs. You can go back to the beginning and download those designs. And I say in all my events, look, why do we give you free stock designs? Is it because I'm a nice guy? Well, you know what, folks? I am a nice guy. I'm proud of that. I want to give you a nice series of designs to download every month. But more importantly, and if you don't realize this, it's the learning curve, okay? Let me show you what I'm talking about. Those of you, when you go into your design library, will find a little section called Kids, okay? This design is in your software. So I bring it in. Look, anytime the design, when you bring it on the screen and release it on the screen, is totally one color of a selection, you do have to right click and you have to ungroup it. Grouping and ungrouping it's kind of like zipping. It reduces the file size, makes it easier to transfer. So if you ever click on a design, the whole thing lights up, it's grouped. Just select it, right click and ungroup it, okay? Now, if you've ever run this design, okay, what's incredible about this design is that it has a lot of really neat effects. The grass here really looks like grass. The hair, when you stitch this, really looks like hair. There are some amazing effects. Look, one of the aspects you go through in digitizing and learning how to digitize certainly is forming your stitch types. In my opinion, when you learn to form the stitch types, when you work with the proper distortion values, and it's kind of like every time you digitize it, it's now all seemingly works for you. Things line up. Little lettering doesn't sink away into fabrics. I cover a lot of that in videos talking about the distortion values. But it's kind of like after you get that base foundation of digitizing down where kind of everything lines up. Realize in most cases you're using the base stitch types. You're using regular fills, standard fills, your regular satin stitches and such. But the next level that one progresses to are special effects, okay? Effect. See, in embroidery, we can do several things. Number one, we can create dimension. The way that dimension works in embroidery is that the stitch type creates the effect. The fact that we used a fill stitch in this grass creates the effect. The stitch direction creates the dimension. Okay, it's just like if we zoom in here and we look at like the legs on this tiger. Okay, you'll notice that this leg is going in this direction. Now these are actually done with satin stitches, what we call interlocking satin stitches. But this leg is going in opposite direction. The type of stitch that we've utilized creates that effect. But that stitch direction creates the dimension within a design like that. Okay, so again, why do I give you stock designs? Because you're going to run a design like this, and you're going to say to yourself, you know what? Let's say the grass in this design, this green down here, that really looks like lawn. That really looks like grass. I would love to use that effect in my digitizing. Well, look, those of you who've seen me in classes know that I teach you to measure things like stitch lengths and density so that you can emulate to some extent what a digitizer knows. But when it comes into special effects, you have to be able to determine, again, things like the stitch type. So when you go into like a fill stitch, okay, and we'll just click on fill, you have a choice. You get effects. You have tatami, you have random, you have smooth, you have satin. Those are different effects that you can bring. Now you get a lot more than that with fill stitch, but for the case of this learning curve, you have all these different effects, okay? I tell people a lot of times, you know what? Stitch out those effects in like 3x3 boxes. You get an idea of what they look like, and it can many times help you determine what effect that you want to use. But because we give you stock designs, the company that creates these designs for us at Floriani, okay, are master digitizers. I've known them for a long time. They are incredible. But they provide these designs for us in our C2S format. Now, the wonderful thing about the C2S format is actually found up here in the properties box. Our C2S format is basically our computer language. So example, I've run the green in here, or the hair. Right now, let's just talk about the lawn, the green down here. And I run that and I go, oh my gosh, that really looks like lawn. That looks like grass. I want to use that effect in my digitizing. Because they give it to us in our C2S, okay, format, you can select that green and that'll highlight. It highlights in another color, okay? But now if you come to the plus sign here, number one, you'll see the stitch type they utilize. They utilize the complex fill in creating this. But when you click on that complex fill, look at what you have up here now. It's telling you this stitch type is a standard fill with a random effect, with a stitch length of 3 millimeters and a density of 0.65. That's an extremely light density, but with a fairly elongated stitch length, it fills in just so beautiful. Click on your next icon. It tells you their underlay. They used a contour and a perpendicular underlay. Click on the next tab. You'll see they used an absolute value of pull compensation at 0.3. It'll tell you they used a chiseled edge, the chiseled distance. Click on the next one. It tells you everything about that stitch type. They used a normal start command with a trim at the end, a basic tie-in, a basic tie-off. Everything about that fill is right there. If you ever want to use that fill in your digitizing, look, you simply click on your fill stitch, write some notes. They used a standard fill stitch. They used a random technique. They used a stitch length of 3 millimeters, change it to that. They used a density of 0.65, change the settings to it. Okay, they used a contour and a perpendicular underlay. They used an absolute value of pull compensation with an absolute value of 0.3. Okay, they use a chiseled edge with a 0.4 offset. Coming to the commands, okay, They used a normal start command. They used a trim at the end. They used a basic tie-in. They used a basic tie-off. You just duplicated that effect. You click apply, come in, grab your green color, come in and do the fill. You just duplicated that effect, okay? The fact is that when approached in that manner, folks, there are no secrets in embroidery. I've said that always because in teaching people how to measure embroidery data, you can tell a digitizer's density. You can tell a digitizer's stitch length, but you would have to go in and really examine it to see the underlay that they used. And the learning is just a little longer. That's why I give you these stock embroidery designs, okay? Why? Because you're going to run one. You're going to see this magnificent effect in that stock design. Well, again, just realize all you have to do is bring it up. Want to see what they did in that hair? Just select it. Come in and you'll see, when we come in, I've got a little bar that I've got to move over there. Let me get back to the sequence view. Once you come in and you select it right up here, they used a standard stitch type with a random effect. I didn't select the right satin stitching, excuse me. Let me grab my select tool. I can select that. They used a standard fill, random technique, gives you the stitch length, gives you the density, gives you the underlay, gives you the pull compensation, everything about it. Want to learn what they used in that leaf? You can click on the underlay, excuse me. You can click on the satin stitch aspect of that. They used a standard satin stitch, 3.5 stitch length, 0.65 density. Everything about that design, because it's in that C2S format, it's right here. It's right here. With utilizing this technique, and I swear to you, if you went through those designs that we've given you for almost 4 years now, you can elevate your digitizing an extreme amount. It's as close to sitting next to a master digitizer than the videos can take you. One good design done with a specific technique is worth its weight in gold. I have run out of time, Kathy. I apologize, folks, for getting a little winded, but I get excited about this stuff. Sorry I flubbed up a couple of times there, but hence it happens. I hope you've enjoyed tonight. We have lots of new webinars coming up. Again, thank you all who bought the MDQ. Thank you for believing in our software. I hope you learned something out of this tonight. I enjoyed myself very, very much. I would just like to say hugs and stitches to you all. And good night, everybody. We will see you next time, Kathy. I'm going to turn it back over to you. Excuse me.